Hello, this is Greg from Online Language Academy, and in this lesson we're going to be looking at the difference between despite, in spite of, even though, and although. By the end of this video you will be able to use them correctly, avoid some of the very common mistakes that students make when using these words, and as always, you will learn some pronunciation tips along the way. So, let's go. If you're new here, I'm Greg. I teach British English pronunciation and advanced grammar on this channel. So if you want to speak advanced English, then click subscribe and click the bell notification so that you get notified when I publish new free lessons. Let's have a look then at the difference between despite, in spite of, even though, and although in English grammar. Okay, first let's look at despite. And despite is the same as in spite of. The only difference really is that in spite of is 3 words and despite is 1. So what are you going to use? Generally, if we have the option of using 3 words or 1, we usually use 1. Especially in spoken English. If you're writing an essay, then I recommend using a combination of both, but when we're speaking naturally, personally, I always use despite. Now, the important thing and the reason a lot of people make mistakes when they use this word is because of what follows the word despite. And you have 2 options. You can follow despite with a noun or a gerund. Let's have a look at some examples. First, with a noun. He has to go to work despite, and then we need a noun. In this case, the noun is his broken leg. Okay, his broken leg. This is a big fat noun, all right? Yes, it has the possessive and an adjective, but it's a proper noun. So he has to go to work despite his broken leg. Also, we can say he has to go to work in spite of his broken leg. Let's have a look at another example. They still sell clothes online despite the closure of their shop. Despite the closure is the noun of the verb to close, despite the closure of their shop. And again, we could say, or we could write, they still sell clothes online in spite of the closure of their shop. Okay, the second way we can use despite is despite plus a gerund. That is the ing form of a verb. Watching, playing, sleeping. So using similar examples from the previous point, let's use despite plus a gerund. He still has to go to work despite breaking his leg. Despite breaking, despite gerund, okay? Despite breaking his leg. Again, we can say he still has to go to work in spite of breaking his leg. Using the second example, they still sell clothes online despite closing down their shop. Closing down means closing forever. So they still sell clothes online despite closing down their shop. Or they still sell clothes online in spite of closing down their shop. Many students have more difficulties with the third way we can use despite, but it's relatively simple. We use despite plus a noun and then the gerund. Despite, noun, gerund. Let's have a look at these examples. He still has to go to work despite, and then the noun, his leg, and then the gerund, being broken. He still has to go to work despite his leg being broken. And of course, we can say he still has to go to work in spite of his leg being broken. This combination of words sometimes sounds strange for students, but it's perfectly good, it's perfectly correct, and it's a really nice advanced structure to use in English. In the second example, they still sell clothes online despite their shop being closed down. Or they still sell clothes online in spite of their shop being closed down. Alright, there's one more way to use despite. Before I tell you, just download my book, English Quick Fix. It gives you 16 steps to speak advanced English. It fixes many typical mistakes in English grammar and pronunciation. So if you want to speak advanced English, click the link in the description to get that book free. Right, the fourth way we can use despite is with this little expression. Despite the fact that. Despite the fact that. And many students find this little expression the easiest to use because after this expression we use a subject and a verb, like he goes, I eat, it's raining. So many people find this the easiest way to use the word despite. Let's have a look at these two examples again. He has to go to work despite the fact that his leg is broken. So we basically use a normal sentence. His leg is broken. Despite the fact that his leg is broken. He has to go to work despite the fact that his leg is broken. Easy. And their shop closed down. Despite the fact that their shop closed down, he still has to go to work despite the fact that his shop closed down. Again, we can use in spite of for all of these. He still has to go to work in spite of the fact that he broke his leg. In spite of can easily replace despite, but again, we're going to use a lot of words if we do this. So when we're speaking, we usually just use the word despite. Now, one big mistake that people usually make is using the word despite and then the preposition of. This is wrong. It's just a combination of despite and in spite of. But we can't say despite of. I'm going to the beach despite of the rain. No, despite the rain or in spite of the rain, but never despite of. So stop saying despite of. Right, we have two more expressions that we are looking at in this video, and they are although and even though. And they work in a very similar way to despite or in spite of. The meaning is very similar. For example, he had to go to work even though he broke his leg. This means exactly the same as despite the fact that he broke his leg, or despite breaking his leg, or despite his leg being broken. They all mean the same, and to be honest, when we're speaking, we probably use the expression even though more than we use the expression despite and definitely in spite of. Now, even though and although work very similarly to despite the fact that. We follow these expressions with the subject and the verb. So, his leg is broken. Even though his leg is broken. He has to go to work even though his leg is broken. Their shop closed down. Even though their shop closed down. They sell clothes online even though their shop closed down. Although, this works the same way. We need to put a subject and verb after although. So although he broke his leg, he still has to go to work. Or he still has to go to work although he broke his leg. Very important with the words although and even though, listen to the pronunciation. Although, even though. The GH is completely silent, so don't even think about it when you are pronouncing these two words. Okay, please like and share this video if you have enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel to get more lessons from me. Remember to get my book, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye for now.